Hi folks, Luke George from By George with my guest Gavin Hegney, owner of Gavin Hegney Property. Hi Gavin, thank you for coming in today and sharing some of your wisdom.
Lovely to sit out here on your balcony.
Thank you. Gavin, you are the go-to person for property advice. You've owned Perth's biggest valuing company, and you also now have got your own property advisory service. What is it about property that's kept the passion alive for so long?
Yeah, well, it certainly didn't start that way. It
Yeah.
started, in my dining room at home, and out of necessity, because I started business because the company I was working for closed its doors.
Right.
So where it started was through survival, if you like. There was no other option. There wasn't jobs for valuers, so great time to set up business for myself. I had no other option. So that was a starting point.
Yeah.
If I look through to the end point, it was a different driver altogether. So I suppose through there, it started from necessity, and then sort of reinvented it, if you like, into what I like to do, and found my areas of most interest and the parts that I really like. So I ended up doing research and media in a business rather than doing all the bits and pieces. Because when you start, you've got to answer phones, you've got to get business, you've got to do your accounts, you've got to do everything. Whereas on the way through, you tend to drop off the parts, sack yourself from the parts that you don't really play to your strengths, sack those parts off you, and then stay with what your strengths are. So research, analysis, and I love talking about it. So hence the media was a ideal extension of that.
Fantastic. Gavin, since finishing your time at the Valuer Generals, and then one time you were at the dinner table, creating your next bit of future, you've had some amazing business adventures. Can you share some of the peaks and troughs of that journey that you've had?
Yeah, well, there's a saying that says we often remember the things we should forget the things we should remember. So I tend to forget all the failures and all the mistakes.
Yeah.
But in reality, those failures and mistakes sort of made me who I was. And the first step you must do is process your failures and your mistakes. So when I say failures, I mean you have an expectation, don't meet that expectation, what part got right, what part was wrong, and then reset from there. The difference in when you're growing a business for yourself, which is growing your own brand, is there is nobody else.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in a business, you've got support, you've got someone to ask, and you've got someone to answer to, as well as you've got people answering to you. When you're growing your own business, you don't have that. It's a lonely place in a sense. There's no one behind you. So you have to be the challenge between you and what you're looking to achieve. There is nothing else. It's pretty raw. So if I look at brand me and what it took to grow, I had to start by growing myself. There's no other way around it. And from growing yourself, then you're able to grow into the space and grow a business as a byproduct of that. I think it was Sir Edmund Hillary, the first guy to climb Mount Everest, said, "'Tis not the mountain we conquer but ourselves," and absolutely. No more raw than when you're growing your own business. When you're in a company, there's a challenge of, sort of being as good as you can be versus how good you are today. But in a business, when you're growing a business, there is no backstop. You have to grow yourself.
Just thinking about that, Gavin, what about employees? Could they think of themselves as a business and try and grow themselves, or do they just sit back and let it happen? What would your advice be to an employee?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people sitting around and wait for a title to arrive, and that's not the space you want to be in, because you don't all of a sudden become a leader when you get a title that says you're a leader. So everybody has a chance to lead and influence from where they are within the organisation. And the concept of leading up is such an important part, I found. Sometimes I would be running the organisation and I've got the title as leader or CEO, but someone, maybe the most junior person in the organisation, says something that gives me great insight and actually drives me and motivates me, because it actually assists me with where I am at the moment. They're seeing something clearly that I'm not. So no part is ever forgotten. So everybody leads from within the organisation in some way, shape or form at some time. And people need to understand that, because a good leader will look at that and harness that on the way through. It's an important role for everyone to play.
Okay, so I'm hearing that every employee could be their own leader in the business.
Absolutely, and I think a good leader will respect that and see that as well, because a good leader will always believe in the people that they've chosen. They've hand chosen and they've selected for a particular reason, not just for their technical ability, but as people. And that's the most important part. What sort of person you are and how you fit in with those other people. Create that dynamic that actually achieves success. And if you don't get 1 + 1 + 1 equaling 4 or 5, you actually haven't got unity, you haven't got a team, and you haven't got a dynamic why would you take the risk of making 1 + 1 + 1 and putting them together?
Now, I think you may have answered that in my next question, which is about managing a large workforce, but more so with all those diverse personalities. Were there any specific strategies that you used to maximise people's performance? So you saw potential in people as a leader, but what was it that you actually did to help them become the person that you could see they could be?
Yeah, I suppose, you've got to look at someone for what they can be rather than as they are. And you've got to help them grow into that space. Everyone wants help to grow into their potential, if you like. I've never met someone who's not good at something. I've never met someone who says, I've got no potential. So the challenge is to actually, first of all, see what that person is capable of, even when they don't see it themselves. Assist them to get there. And a large part of that, if you like, the driver or the fuel into that, is to believe in them. If you don't believe in them, and believe in them more almost than they believe themselves, they will then lift to that level. And surprisingly, they do it all themselves. So if you handle that in the right way, they'll believe that they actually did it themselves, and they did. But belief and seeing something in somebody that they don't even see in themselves sometimes is a key part to starting that process.
So, and is that just having conversations with people? Is it the tap on the shoulder? Is it just taking them to the side and show them with evidence of the sort of person that they could be? Is that part of showing belief?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting point because I always subscribe to first understand then seek to be understood, and so you understand about that person, and in doing that you can see where you can best fit that person and where they are best suited to. So it allows people to play to their strengths. In that way you're setting people up for success, not failure. And too many people get set up for failure by being chosen the wrong personality types together, the wrong role, not driven in the right way, and they can only do but one thing, and that's disappoint. So, and they disappoint themselves and they disappoint others around them. How do you pick yourself up from that? Sometimes the leader gets it wrong. Sometimes we get it wrong. And being able to pick yourself up out of that, but that's not the intention. The intention is, from a well-intentioned leader, is for people to achieve and be their very best and succeed. Because ultimately, it rubs off on everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you're part of the Money Men financial advice segment on the Perth ABC. How did this position actually come about? How did you get into that particular area?
Yeah, well, I did a few interviews here and there originally with Liam Bartlett.
Oh, right. Yes, that's right.
And Liam's the sort of guy, you come off the radio and you're sweating, okay? He doesn't let anything go. So I sort of got trained by the best in that sense. But I actually started, the segment was started by him. And it was actually when they were broadcasting one day at Cottesloe. It was a really hot day, similar to today. And they were broadcasting at Cottesloe Beach in the shadows there, and they were locked into the keyboard and broadcasting. Now, I wandered past, I was having a swim, and I said, look, maybe, do you feel like some morning tea? And I just wandered up, I got a couple of bottles of water, a couple of muffins, just dropped them down and said, hey guys, here you go, have these, I'd met them the week before on air, and said, look, this. And then from there they thought, well, actually, we could actually do something with this person, and we could do something with this segment and this topic, and that's where it's sort of started, and it grew from there.
Grew from there. And grew it did, because it's actually still running, and Liam Bartlett hasn't been in Perth for a long time. What do you think the formula is for such longevity between the three gentlemen in this particular segment? To stay for so long, because usually they would get axed, but you're still there giving advice? What's the formula, do you think?
I think it's a trick on the radio. Is you actually got to answer the principle, not the person's actual individual need necessarily. But you've actually got to hear and understand really what the person's saying. That means not just the question you're asking. You've got to listen to their voice. How old are they? What's their tone? What's their speed? What are they really asking here? But at the end of the day, you're either doing it for you or you're doing it for them. Okay. If you're doing it for you, you've got a terminal life. Because people will smell it. If you're actually doing it for them, and it's more a giving act rather than a taking act, people will sense that. So if you're really doing it to assist and help people, people will then stay with that, and they'll follow that, they'll know that, they'll trust that. Whereas if you're actually doing it for yourself, just to build your own notoriety and fame, etc., guess what? People know that.
People know that
come
too.
Straight through. So it's either an act of giving or it's an act of taking.
And by the sounds of things, there's been a lot of giving over many years.
Well, I suppose, in a sense, it sort of comes to a broader philosophy. It's not what you do, it's why you do it.
Now, you've got you had this great saying called the credibility by association, which I've always loved. Now, this is one of your many sayings. Can you explain its influence on your brand credibility by association?
Yeah, well, I sort of first started when I started business because I had no clients, no business. The economy was in recession, heading down, and I had to somehow, and I had a young face and too young to have a business sort of thing.
Yep.
So what I did was I specialised in an area. At that stage was residential. Because residential no one else specialised in, and residential was the dumbest end of the profession.
Yeah.
Why would you train for 3 or 4 years to go and be a residential valuer? It's the dumbest end. So I thought, well, that's my end to focus on.
That's the niche.
But in that sense, I thought, well, I have to gain some credibility by association and position myself in there. So at that stage, the Royal Western Group was the biggest real estate group in Western Australia. The household word in real estate, 55 franchise offices right across the state. So I went to them and I said, I can be your consultant valuer. And they said, what does that mean? Well, I can do some valuations for you if you get them. Did a handshake deal. I'm the consultant valuer of the biggest group in West Australia, the Royal Western Group, 55 franchise offices across the state. Now, I haven't got any grey hair and I've got a young face and not necessarily the experience that people are looking for. So I went to a couple of the older guys in the profession who were working on their own at that stage and said, can I send some work to you? Send me in your resume. So I'm the consultant valuer of this, so credibility by association. Here's my team. Bang, bang, bang. Grey hair, grey hair, grey hair. President of this, president of that, next, of this. So therefore, now I've got a story.
Yes.
So I've got credibility, I've got a story, and I've got a story to go out and push and tell. But it actually got to then convert that into, it runs on the board or the business.
Yeah.
I still had no business.
No.
But I had a story.
But you had a
and
story.
I could sell the story.
And people like stories.
They love the story.
They love a story.
Yeah. And I need the story too to be believable too.
And so another thing that I know that it's a real part about yourself, and also because you're now in the media, is you are an avid reader of leadership business books, and also current affairs. How has that helped your career in taking that path and really getting into so much knowledge and information?
I'd probably still be an employee somewhere if I didn't do that.
Oh, okay.
So it always is challenging yourself and learning, and it's not someone comes along and throws something at you and here you need to learn this. You've got to go and seek it out and find it. So when you're starting business, you need to be a bit of an accountant. So I might pick up a book on accounting and read 1 or 2 chapters, and that's it. I might read the whole book, but accounting books aren't something that I can focus on for too long. And then I need some business, so I've got to be a bit of a marketer. So I'll pick up a marketing book. I might read the whole book, I might read some. But at the end of the day, the whole challenge all the way through is always challenging yourself. So I tended to like residential real estate because it was property, but it was people. And I am challenging myself. And people are making decisions every day and challenging themselves. So that's where I sort of aligned to where they were. And I like the psychology of property as much as I like property. So I read 300 or 400 books, podcasts, watch videos. Sometimes I do the whole thing. Always underline.
Yes.
And always so I can go back and reread at different times.
Yes.
And I often reread sort of snapshots of books. I had book summaries in the car when I'm driving. I've got all sorts of things, just tipping in the knowledge that I need at that stage. And the interesting thing is, sometimes you can go and read a book at a particular time, get out a gem or two, and then you can put that book away, pick it up in 2 years, and reread something else. And you go, why didn't I underline that part? I didn't, and you underline that part. So sometimes it's just what you need at the time that moves you through. It doesn't mean it ends there.
You actually love your book so much. You've actually brought in a few to show us. So could you take us through just your top 4 books that you would recommend for us all to have a bit of a read of?
Well, if you asked me yesterday, it might be different, but you asked me today, so these are the 4
These
that
are 4.
I've pulled
Fantastic.
out. The art of learning is about what's relevant. And look, in some sort of order, first one, Tony Robbins.
Yes.
Great guy at telling you how you need to think, your own thinking systems. And the beautiful thing about that is he poses the questions and you answer them for yourself. So that's about self-discovery. Know thyself and know thyself be true. Bang. It's a really good starting point.
Yep.
And then when you do things, you're going to make a few mistakes.
Yep.
So awaken the giant within, your understanding of yourself. When you make those mistakes, failing forward by John Maxwell, turning those mistakes in stepping stones to future success. So nothing's wasted.
Yep.
So now I've sort of got myself programmed somewhat. If I want to lead, the 360-degree leader. This talks about leadership and the ownership of leadership no matter where you are or what you're doing. It's personal. So this is not about title leading. This is about how you can influence and make a positive difference for others around you and the roles and responsibilities. So it's a fantastic book to read, and it awakens the leader within you, if you like.
Yes.
The last one, if you want to get sort of interested in, how life works and how things are, and these are all obviously very strong around personal growth, which is sort of personal brand, personal growth. An Intelligent Life, and it's got some really good sections in there which are actually quite informed and quite intelligent in their own right, and you can read them, but you might need to read one paragraph and think about it for a while. So dovetailing all those together, you sort of get a combined sort of feel about where you are, what you're looking to achieve, what your highest values are, and you can actually then answer your own questions, which is very important, not have questions answered for you.
That was a beautiful resume of books. That was great, and I love the way that they all sectioned together, and as you said, dovetailed together to be able to get it into your personal brand. And when we're talking about your personal brand, what 4 actions would you suggest to people in actually creating their brand? Actually, what would the doing part of making sure that their brand's intact?
Yeah, it's interesting because every business, no matter what business it is, I don't care whether it's a major mining company or a bank, started with an individual. And it's what that individual stood for and that individual's values, and then they grew into the values of that company and their organisation. And if they're a good leader, the organisation, the values live on beyond the individual and actually grow and develop and morph into something more. So the first thing is you've got to know what you stand for, right? What your core values are. And the importance of core values is it allows you to make clear decisions. How do you make a decision if you don't know what you stand for? So you're not going to know what you stand for, what's most important to you, and also what's most important to you as in you look to avoid.
Right.
See what you stand for and what you don't stand for, if you like. You know what you're prepared to create for yourself, what you're prepared to not walk past though as well.
Yes.
So what are your strengths? What do you like?
Yes.
And what are your weaknesses?
Yes.
So important. So now you've got a brand. You now stand for something. And people think, oh, well, it's this, and of course everyone stands for that.
Yeah.
No.
Not everyone
stands
does.
for that.
No.
Because everyone's so different in their own right. So that's the most important thing, is what you stand for, number one.
Okay. That was brilliant, because that's a great starting point for when we're looking at your reputation. It's about, and I like the way that you've said, my personal brand, what do I stand for? What am I doing here? We've got to look back at those values.
Yeah. So reputation is something that you actually don't create. It's interesting. If you focus on what you are and what you're not, and you focus on that, you will, as a byproduct, derive a reputation. But I'm never focused on my reputation as such. I'm focused on my core values. Because reputation is what other people think, feel, act, and I can't control that, but I can control this. I'm not trying to control the uncontrollable. I'm trying to control the controllable, which is what I do stand for and what I am, not what I'm not, which might be rolled into my reputation.
Yeah, I like it. And what's your definition of success, Gavin?
Yeah, well, that's changed over the years. Actually,
Yes.
Interesting. You know, early in days in business, success to me was being able to pay the bills. But today, success is not a destination. Success is a state of mind.
Yeah.
So success to me is how I conduct myself. Do I conduct myself with respect, with dignity, with trust, with honesty, authenticity? And if I'm conducting myself in that fashion, I'm successful moment by moment, day by day. So success doesn't become a destination. Success is how I conduct myself. I can achieve results, and so what I tend to fill in with what other people would define as success is results and achievements. Results can come at any price. I can get results, but I can torture my values to get those results. So results aren't what I aspire to. I aspire to achievements. Achievements are results whilst my values are intact and actually maintained, but actually growing. They're my achievements while I'm in a state of success. So there's no reason I'm not waiting to be successful. I'm successful right now in the way I conduct myself. Think about those people who have achieved great results, but they're not successful people because you don't aspire to be like them. Think about the people who maybe haven't achieved great results, but they actually are people that you aspire to be. Isn't that success?
Yeah.
So what does your own success look like? And for me, it's trust, respect, dignity.
Beautiful. Well put together. You've obviously thought that one through a fair bit. Excellent. And so how do you mentally prepare yourself each day, Gav? Are there some things that you think about or routinely say, gratitude, for instance? Are there any particular actions, or is it just get up and just take it all in?
Yeah, well, some days when you've got a lot of stuff going on that's not so great,
Yeah.
you're just trying to shut that out.
Yeah.
Trying to focus on the things that you should be focused on. Other days when everything's going fantastic, don't fight it, just go with the flow. Enjoy it. So we do have flows and ebbs, and it's a different structure at the different times. I suppose, I like to train physically every day, so I like to actually exercise, and that naturally gets me in a positive state. And I use my powerful hours early in the morning to do that. So not all time during the day is equal. I like to try and beef up myself in my own intellect, and so put something new in every day. So one of my goals is to be open to learning always, and then be challenged. So I try and tip something in a little bit. I might read one line, or I might read a chapter of a book. I might read half the book. But tip something new in, and just gives me something to think about. And sometimes I'll try and tip that in before I exercise. So while I'm exercising, I can multiply that principle. So I might, jump in the pool, for instance, and swim for, half an hour. Might not even count laps because I don't want to get distracted.
No.
I might take a principle in there and I think, all the things I'm grateful for. And I'll swim and I'll multiply them. And then by the time I get out, I'm feeling fantastic. I feel good, I am good.
Yeah.
So it's about driving. Thoughts create feelings, feelings create action. So I'm always looking to drive those thoughts, which end result is actions. And actions repeated become habits. So be very careful on the habits that you're creating by the thoughts that you're creating at the front end.
Yeah. Now, Gavin, what advice would you give to a 15-year-old Gavin Hegney if he was here with us today?
Well, I wouldn't change a thing.
Wouldn't change a thing?
Yep. I've stayed out of jail.
This is a good start.
But I also achieved things, but also learned boundaries and learned how to achieve and what was important, what was not. So you naturally, you want to learn on the way through.
Yeah.
And by 16, I'd learned more than I learned by 15.
Yeah.
By 17, I'd learned. I suppose don't be too anxious to be 16 or 17.
Yeah.
At 17, you can drive a car. 18, you can go to pubs. I don't know, whatever it is. That next thing.
Next step.
So don't be afraid to be 15 and enjoy and make the most of 15. But also observe along the way and try and get that understanding of be a participant in life, so you actually enjoy life, but also observe and be able to say, hey, I like the way I did that, didn't like the way I did that, and adjust along the way. If you can do that, you've pretty well got a blueprint for life.
Beautiful. Well said. So thank you, Gavin, for being so honest and open today. And as with most of my interviews, I give them the very well coveted by George water bottle. Focus. What you focus on grows.
Yeah,
that's it.
Fantastic. I love
Thanks
it.
very much, Gavin.
Thanks.
Thank you. And thanks very much, folks. Another fantastic interview with by George, and that one was with Gavin Hegney.